Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are settling into this space, right? This space between the equinox and the beginning of April, or the next eclipse, or the next lunar cycle. I think we have a solar eclipse that's coming up on the 29th. So we're in this space. We're in this space of illumination, right? The equinox, light, equal dark. These eclipses, which are revealing shadow, revealing the unseen, the seen. And what does that really mean? So the unseen we can take in many directions. The seen, our life, our body, our health, what we see, what our bank account, our home, our circumstances. The unseen, our thoughts, our feelings, our felt sense of the world, our experience of the world, our perceptions, our cognitions, our concepts, our beliefs, our programming. And so I've been thinking a lot about listening, right? That this is really a deep, deep time for listening to ourselves, right? That so much of, and again, when I say programming or conditioning or living in this world that we have lived in, where we have been instructed, right, since we were children, to do things a certain way. Even as a child, we may get, and I just see this with how we instruct kids, right? And this was the interesting thing when I took my son to Waldorf school for the first time, when they didn't define the world for him, when they didn't tell him what thing each thing was, made me realize how much we do that with children, how much we do that with others. No, this is the right way. That is green. That is blue. That is not. Like I used to say, well, the school bus, it's like yellow, orange. And people say, no, it's yellow. I'm like, but it's not yellow. It's yellow. It's orangey yellow. And they say, no, it's yellow. Right? Like it's this way we've been taught to see the world, whatever that means, right? What is, right, the culture that we were raised in. And part of our listening to ourselves is really listening to the thoughts and noticing what we hear. And this is also a really interesting thing about meditation. I've had many students say to me, I can't meditate, I can't quiet the mind. Well, one, the mind is very busy. The mind is doing quite a bit, and I don't think that it stops. It can get quiet, but I don't know if that's the goal. I think the goal, or the more important, is to really listen, to listen to the fears, to listen to the repetitions, to listen to the musings, to listen to the confusion, to listen to words that may not be our own. I've had many times in meditation where I'm aware of something, and I'm aware of this almost monologue in my head, and I sometimes pause and go, that's not really mine. That's not my monologue. Or I don't really believe that. And maybe I've been listening to that for years and years and years. Right? But the listening is really turning towards ourselves, no matter what we hear, sorting through the layers, sorting through what is ours and what isn't ours. The voices of others, our parents, our teachers, our churches, our communities. And not to say that they are wrong, and not to say to discount anything. It's to really know, is that something that aligns with me, that feels good? Does it feel good? Or does it feel not quite relevant to my circumstances or what's happening in my world, right? That it creates more confusion. So the listening to, and what I also love about, the practice of meditation and doing it consistently is, again, there are moments when the mind is quiet. There are moments of revelation. I've had very profound, life-changing revelations in meditation. But I don't know if that's the goal either. Sometimes I think it's really just to connect to myself. It's to check in, to see how busy I am, how confused I am, how clear I am, where the places that I do need more understanding or more kindness towards myself, towards others. It's where I can look at conversations and see my part or see the other one's part with a little more distance. And it's not always, again, about finding the right thing. It's really being in relationship with ourselves, that knowing who we are and how we respond to the world around us, the world within us. Even simple things like noticing, oh, when I go to bed at this time, I'm really tired in the morning. When I go to bed at this time, oh, I sleep better. When I eat this food, right? Noticing, oh, I'm listening. It was really good and yummy, but my body didn't like it and it disturbed my sleep or it agitated my mind. Or, oh, I had a conversation with this person and I felt really unsettled afterwards. And maybe I'm not clear, but the listening is that I feel really off. And then maybe over time, there's clarity about why. That these are the things that we learn as we listen. We learn who we are. We begin to know deeply who we are. So let us take a moment to listen. I'll have moments of talking, and I'll have moments of being quiet. And in the quiet places, just listen. If the mind is busy, notice. Mind is busy. And there's also the sense of listening on different levels, right? There's listening to our body, noticing patterns, listening, right? So even tracking things like our digestion, or that is a form of listening. Do my shoulders go up to my ears when I do this particular thing, or when I think about this thing? Noticing what emotions feel like, listening to how they move through your body, listening to the resistance, listening to the volume or tone of your resistance, your inner voice, listening to the sounds of your body. Is there silence or is there laughter? Is there room to sigh? So we'll explore that, right? Listening to the body, listening to the emotions, listening to the mind, listening to spirit or higher self or consciousness, right? We have different levels of consciousness within us. So maybe it's like different octaves in our body and our being and our experience. Physical is one aspect of our consciousness. emotional, mental, other aspects of our consciousness, and soul. What does that mean? Is that worth listening for? What does that sound like? Okay, maybe close eyes if you haven't already. Maybe a little movement in your body, maybe just shifting onto one hip bone, other hip bone, even if you're laying down. Good. Maybe let the ribs shift side to side. And listen as you move. Is there tightness? Is there a sharpness? Listening for a feeling, a sound, right? A sound from your body. Maybe it's oh, or an ooh, or a oh, I didn't know that was there. Maybe just a rocking of the pelvis, right? Rocking towards the front of the base of the pelvis or towards the back. Right, our sits bones or the base of the pelvic bones shaped like a little rocking chair. Notice what happens in the belly and the ribs as you do that. Right, maybe as you rock forward, the chin lifts a little. Maybe as you rock back, the head drops a little. Notice, maybe it doesn't. That listening, feeling. Feeling is a form of listening. Maybe even that sense of allowing the body to make sounds. Ah, a sigh with the exhale. Ah, relax the jaw a little more, the tongue a little more. Another sigh. Ah, good. Maybe lift the shoulders towards the ears and then let them fall. Ah, notice how that changes the breath. Do it again, lifting and lowering. And let's play with just a little breath, letting the breath scrape across the back of the throat ever so slightly. Inhaling through the mouth, exhaling through the mouth. You can keep that little tiny rocking. Noticing your breath, the sound, the ease. Does the ease and the sound match? Letting the movement get smaller and smaller. And what do you notice in your body? Is there sharpness that presents, or is anything softening with the breath? Or does the mind come in and get louder as you focus on the breath? Two more breaths. And come to settle. If little undulations feel good, then keep moving. Just let the body explore. It can be quite subtle. It can even be bigger movements. It's up to you. You get to decide. Listening for feeling, right? So feeling, felt sense, sensations, sharpness, dullness, numbness, thickness, grippiness, right? That sensation of the body, right, allows us to start to move into the felt sense, the experience of, right, the movements of the body, the proprioception. Like, how is the body moving? What does it feel like? Felt sense. So it's a listening through sensation. And sensation allows us to tap into emotion, right? Because emotions move through the body. Remembering a time when you were angry, right? And maybe what happens in the body. I tend to get hot in my chest, my jaw clenches, my fists get a little tight. What do you remember about anger or loss, grief, or pleasure, joy? Right? Fulfillment, satisfaction, frustration, envy, jealousy. What do they feel like in the body? You might feel it in the stomach or the face or the throat, the hands, the eyes, the belly, your breath. But listening to what's happening in your experience, listening to volumes inside, even if there's no words. Maybe there's a sound, maybe even sound of slamming doors or stomping or grinding teeth. Or silence, moments of silence. Maybe it's an uncomfortable silence or forced silence or an easy silence. And then letting that segue us to our mind, our thoughts. Often, when we have an emotion, we start to have thoughts, concepts about emotions, concepts about anger, maybe even lessons about anger that we've learned in our culture or family. Mm, maybe it's not okay to have strong feelings. Right? And there's judgment, or there's a sense of story or blame or self-blame. Maybe there's a sense of overwhelm at the strength, the volume of emotion. Maybe the mind wants to have an answer or reassure. Maybe there's a way to fix it, to make the emotion go away, or to take care of somebody else, to make it go away, or a plan. Notice what happens in your body when you explore the listening to the mind. My body wanted to get still. I felt somehow less present in my body, less warmth in my body. What do you notice? And let's just touch into listening for soul, spirit, whatever word, higher self, God self. We all have our definitions. And just notice here, what does that sound like? Your soul or your spirit, what does it sound like? Be the sound of the ocean or the birds. Again, what do you find when you listen? Listening for resistance, listening for curiosity, for exploration, for acknowledgement, for presence, for defining, right? Trying to define with the mind. And bringing your awareness to your heart, either the organ and feeling the rhythm of the organ. Right? The heart communicates through rhythm, through coherence, through vibration, through neurotransmitters, through movement, through hormones. What do you feel when you sit in your heart? Again, these are all different qualities of consciousness within us, and there are many, many more. These are the very simple body, emotions, mind, soul, heart. And let's finish with sound. The sound of vu, v, u, vu. And we'll do that 3 times. And feeling, listening for your own sound, listening for the movement in your body, the felt sense, right? The way that the breath moves through your body, ricocheting, vibrating. After your next exhale, Inhaling. Let's do it again. Inhaling. You can change the volume, the amount of air behind the sound. Inhaling. Good. Listening. And I'll leave that with you. Listening to all of you, meeting all of you. Namaste.